what's going on with the modern masculinity movement?
I think fundamentally at the moment the masculinity movement sees women as adversaries and competitors rather than compatriots. I think that they treat women largely like an enemy to be avoided or a resource to be used and discarded. I think that largely much of men's advice benefits some men at the expense of most others. That if being a high-value man means sleeping with as many women as possible, but a low-value woman is a woman that slept with many men, what you are doing is creating a wake after you that other men have to pick up the pieces of if your goal is to be this high-value, high body count male.
When all of our interpersonal relationships are all just about sex and not about partnering long-term and reproducing and having families and committing to each other for life, then you don't actually see the context that women need men and men need women. And you do end up missing the point where you get these phenomenon that I talked about on here before, of like the double standard phenomenon. It's like, well, just accept it. It's a double standard. If women sleep with men, then yeah, it decreases their value. But if men sleep with other women, it increases their value. No, it doesn't. Let me tell you how valuable a man is to a woman who he sleeps with and doesn't marry. He has negative value. Negative value. He has taken her time, wasted it, decreased her value by your own definition of and description of what makes a woman valuable. You've decreased a high-value man decreases the value of that woman if he does not marry her. How is that a high-value man? Because who's deciding what is a high-value man? Isn't it women? It is. So if you don't ever marry anyone and you've slept with 1,000 women, you're negative value, not positive, not high value man. And this is why I think it's very important that we use the correct language here, because otherwise you are setting yourself up to ask the wrong questions. Why is a man high value if he sleeps with a lot of women? That's the wrong question. It's a bad question because there is no answer to it because it's wrong. The assumption is wrong. A high value man is a man with competent skill set and a desire to grow that skill set and be helpful to a woman, and he commits to her for life. Do you know how valuable I am to my wife? I am essential to my wife. You know why I'm valuable to my wife? Not even just monetarily, even though that's part of it, but it's not all of it. She makes more money than me. I make enough to support us, but if I need to, just me, but so does she. And so, but that's not what it's about. She needs me for all kinds of other reasons. And it's clear to her. And I'm committed to her. And that makes me not just high value. I am the most valuable thing that she has. She's the most valuable thing I have. My child is growing inside of her right now. She's going to take care of that child when it's born. She helps me with everything all the time. In mentally, emotionally, physically, keeps this house together. I mean, she is a high value woman because she has committed to me. I am a high value man because I've committed to her. This is, again, a problem where when we are in the wrong context and we ask questions from the wrong context, which we get to from having the wrong initial assumptions to build from the very, very beginning of your assumptions. As far back as you can go, where did the universe come from? What is its nature? What is the nature of existence itself? Those questions influence how you understand what is a high-value man and what is a high-value woman. You're not valuable to her if you don't stick around. You're negative value. Negative value. That is true. Why would you want to be the alpha or care whether or not you're the alpha or care whether or not you're a sigma or whatever if you have the same responsibilities? How do we have a structure that links our head, our heart, and our loins across both in the moment and on a lineage basis and in long term? Marriage. Like, this is why I focus on these things so much, is because you can't even see whether or not your questions are bad without being in the right context. Marriage is the right context for men and women to be in order to perceive our world. But it also means like embracing your role in that marriage and seeing, what can women do? What can women really do? Like a lot of amazing things that men cannot. But what can't they do? A lot of things that men can. And it's not a competition though. And like Chris said, this manosphere, whatever people want to call it, it is the male equivalent of feminism. MGTOW is just feminism. It hates feminism so much that it has become feminism for men. It's saying we don't need women. They just make life more difficult and are annoying. And sometimes they do make life difficult and are annoying, but guess what? We make life difficult for them sometimes, and we are annoying. But there would be no life without both of us. There's no life for them without us, and there's no life for us without them. This, you need to place things into the right context to see this type of stuff, to be able to be like, to realize, and I'm glad that Chris said this, because he's honestly the only person that I've seen say this, and I've been saying, other than myself, and I've been saying it on here for a year probably, is that you can't have a double standard because if men sleep with a bunch of women and you're claiming that women who have a low body count have high value, you're sleeping with them, not staying with them, and you are contributing intentionally to the lowering of the value, according to your own definition, of women at large for all other men. Like, you're screwing up the pond. You're shitting in the pond. Like, that's what you're doing for everyone. And you're also pissing off women, because now women are going to be like, well, we don't want men. Why would we need men? Men, all they do is they sleep with you and leave. Why would they need us if that's all we did for them? There's no solution to any of these social problems outside of marriage. It is the glue that holds society together. Men and women are not meant to get along outside of this. They are not. They're not meant to work together in this mixed gendered environment for the most part the way that we have. They're not meant to be taught in the same things in the same types of schools. They're really not. And but they are meant to be together, and they are meant to be married. Like, there's this rabbi, Manis Friedman, who I listen to all the time, and he's brilliant on this stuff. And he says, men and women do not get along. A husband and wife get along. And I was like, yeah, there you go. And it is important that we not focus on men, not focus on women, focus on marriage. And that is the singular human unit that is replicative and is the lineage over time. It's not men who built society, and it's not women who built society. It's marriages who built society. It is an entity unto itself that is created when two people commit to living together and taking care of each other and going through the natural processes of life. And it changes incentive structures, it changes understandings, it changes goals. It is economically efficient, and it makes you realize all kinds of things about why so many narratives are so dumb. And including these ones of like a high value man who sleeps with a lot of women. High value to who? No one. No one. It's just that the issue is that a bunch of men want to be that guy because that sounds like fun. For a time. I get that. But as I've said before, you cannot get everything from sex except in a marriage. The best sex is in a marriage. That's just a fact. And if you're married, you have more access to it than anyone who is, even an alpha male, with a ton of money. You just do. And that's very clear. I mean, look at the consequences of these type of actions. Every single man who follows this ends up being sued and accused and ripped through the town square and accused of, taking advantage of women and Me Tooing and all kinds of stuff. It's like there's no way for that to not happen. You cannot avoid that. Eventually, you're going to just have a miscommunication with somebody, or somebody's going to get very angry that you used them, because you do. And so I really think we need to start asking better questions in these discussions. But it is the focus. It needs to be not on men. It's on marriage. And then from marriage, we figure out, like, what are men supposed to be? What is a high value man in a marriage? We need to step up. There is the same responsibilities for basically all of us. If you are attracted to the opposite sex, you have the responsibility of getting married. And that implies also the responsibility of that being the goal. It's not just eventually I'll get married after I have had my fun. No. The fun is in marriage. Trust me. I've seen some people, they're getting heartbroken around me all the time. And I went through this too. When I dated and you break up, and you in the secular world, we just do this. And we're like, we accept it as normal. We're like, yeah, you're going to get your heart broken. No, this was not normal. Look at an Orthodox Hasidic Jewish community, or an Orthodox Muslim community, or Mennonite community, where they seek marriage for everybody in society, and they all really, the entire community is very focused on pairing everybody up. Do you think that they are like, oh my gosh, he broke my heart, I hate men? Do you think those men are like, gosh, women suck, they just, they're just so annoying, we have to put up with them? No, they're gender segregated in some way, shape, or form, and they don't have to deal with each other in as many negative contexts. But the point is that they don't get their heart broken constantly. And we just accept it in the secular world. Even though I'm a theist as deeply as you can be, as confidently as you can be, I have grown up in the secular world, and I was not a theist. And so I dated and had serious relationships and not serious relationships, and then got married, and I can tell you that now I'm seeing other people who I care about, friends of mine, family, whatever, who, like, you don't want to see them upset when they go through some breakup and somebody got hurt. It's like, because we're giving people things that we're supposed to give to only people who we're giving permanent things to people that we're meant to only give in permanent relationships. And it's not normal to have your heart broken 3 or 4 times by terrible breakups. All breakups suck, otherwise you wouldn't break up. So we of course we end up like hating each other and thinking we're useless and meaningless to each other, and we make movies like Barbie. Not that it didn't have some good parts, but the message of the movie is that we don't need each other, and that's not true. If there's inconsistency or double standards, or two things that you have to balance between that seem opposing, it means you are coming at this from the wrong framework. I've said this before, and Eric said something like this once a long time ago in this interview. I forgot who it was with. He said, I wish that they didn't exist, but I can't ignore the chess statistics when I look at like the disparity between men and women. And I don't think that has to do with intelligence, because being a chess champion self-selects for intelligence anyways from a pool of plenty of people, plenty of very intelligent women. But if the top 500 best chess players are men, and only one of them is a woman, then it implies that there's something different, which I think is that men are emotionally detached from the moment in ways that women are not, and it allows us to be strategic, and that is what it is. It's not about intelligence as much. And the thing is this: if you look at like the manosphere, and they're like, see, men are better at chess, men are faster runners, men are better at sports, and women look at this and they're like, well, okay, you're just, now we're going to change the rules to make sure that we can get exactly what it looks like you have. And this creates just this competition between the two. And that is a horrible thing. As he said, Chris, he said, the manosphere views women as competition. This is exactly true of feminism. Feminism views men as competition. Not partners, competition. And so this MGTOW, whatever movement, whatever it's called, manosphere, whatever it is that is this response to feminism, it's just feminism for men, and it's just as destructive. And so, it's just important to recognize that you have to focus on the right thing. What's the thing that everybody needs that also gives us the most meaning and is the context that grows society? Marriage. It's marriage. You focus on marriage. Society needs to prioritize marriage. It should right now. For a while, women said, "Oh, we prioritized men," and that wasn't really true, probably, and not as much as they think. Maybe sometimes, and then maybe in the 1940s and 50s, that wasn't actually. We did switch, and it did look to them like we're prioritizing men because we're artificially keeping women at home because technology allowed for things that men historically only could do, and but we've still had these constructs, and so women got pissed and they wanted part of it. And then you got feminism, and the whole time we should have just been focused on marriage. It is what is responsible for the next generation. It is the transcendent structure, and that is, Eric said, earlier on here, transcendence is the thing that we need to focus on. That's true. And but my point was about the chess statistics. Is he said, I can't ignore the chess statistics. It's such an, I wish they weren't true. That's not true. Men are not good at chess so that they can beat women at chess. Men are good at chess because they are good at being strategic thinkers, and they're good at being strategic thinkers so that they can help women solve women's problems. That's the point. The skill set needed for chess is to solve problems for women. It's not to beat them at chess. And so context is what matters here, and we're missing the context, and you cannot understand it outside of a marriage. You cannot. Focus on the transcendent. Marriage is transcendent. Not men, not women. Marriage.